Okay, welcome everyone. Do a little sound check. All right, God bless you all. Welcome to the Monday night show, October 14, Delphi, the Confessions, brought to you by the good old boys of Carroll County. What's up, everybody? So I guess the thing I should be starting off with is saying that I'll leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. Let me say hello to everyone in the chat first. I see the gaslighting is in full effect in the social media verse right now. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna say hello to my people in here before we get rolling. Bonnie, all right, what's up? Welcome, Bonnie. Welcome, Fur Baby Daddy, True Seeker, Crystal Blue Persuasion, Monday. I'll leave this one up. That's pretty rocking. All right, Heavy Metal Rehab. What's up? Welcome back, David Rogers. We got here. Margaret. What's up, Margaret? Carroll. All right. Lisa. What's up, Lisa? Oh man, so many people in here. What's up, all you? Okay, all you guys. Dark Arts by Adrian. What's up, Adrian? Yeah, please hit the like when you come in. Exactly. Hey, if you're in the Lurker crew, join the chat. It's friendly. Don't be all fucking awkward and weird. Please join the Lurker crew. Uh, what's up, Sakoki? There she is. What's up, Sakoki? Sakoki and Adrian. Right. I can't get her on the screen with the split. What's the glitching about? Weird. There you go. All right, Sunflower Soul 615. What's up? Good evening, everyone. All right. All right. Well, wow. Lots of chat, but only a few people in it. So you guys are chatty. What's up, Kayla? All right, Kayla Fleetwood. I mean Tracy Fleetwood. Dean Johnson, what's up? Hey, Sakoki, what up? All right, so Bobby Smith, what's up? Four Pits, guaranteed. Hey, look, the real scoop starts now. Yes, and let me say this: guaranteed. This will piss you off. Okay, this will piss you off. This tonight will piss a lot of people off, and that's great. It should. Nancy Drew 101, what's up? All right. Sandy D, what's up? Heather Brown, what's up? All right. What's up? Right. What's up, Tracy Fleetwood saying hello to everybody? I like that. Is it cutting out? Is it cutting out for anyone else? Or is it just Dean? Let me know, y'all. All right. Aaron Town. What's up, Aaron? Her baby daddy, what up? I don't see anyone else saying it's cutting out. All right. Jessica Freeman, what's up? All right. What else we got in here? Trying to catch everybody. Apologize if I miss you. Joe McFarland hitting hard. Come in hitting hard. Uh, anyone notice Becky Padding hitting Facebook hard? Interesting message she put out. Yeesh. Okay, I think we've caught up with everyone. What's up, Bobby? No, I haven't. Okay. Why is my computer glitching? Jeez, it's the glitch. It's the glitch happening. All right. Truth Seeker, Nancy Drew, Dean Johnson. Who else? Old Mort, what's up? Long time no see. Where you been? I see you more in email than I see you in the chat. What's up, Old Mort? What up, Big J? My main man right here, Big J Dick. All right. Jay Marsh, what's up? Long time lurker. What's up? I see you around these streets. I know who you are. I don't miss a thing. I don't miss a thing. What's up, Dennis McKean? What's up, Dennis? Good to see you too. Trying to get you on this. Wow, that's odd. I'm having glitchiness. Everything's lagging. All right. It's a new day. What's up? All right. So you were at Little Joe's, I believe. Is that where I saw you earlier? All right. Digital. What's up, Digital? Hmm. Sleuty. What's up, Sleuty? Listening until I fall asleep. All right. And are we caught up yet? All right. We'll get there. Almost there. And I'll announce what we'll be doing today. So let's see. Gosh, you guys hold on a minute. Okay, apologize for that. I had to stop this thing from lagging. I had too many apps open. All right. Now let's see, where was I? I'm trying to get through this, okay, y'all. I'm trying to get through this. Don't know where I was. So we say Dean Johnson, Rick H. What's up? What's up, Rick H? All right. And who else? Rebby Lee, what's up? What's up, Rebby Lee? All right. Nobody Nothing 1717, what's up? Let's get through this so I can start the show. All right. Jojo, what's up? Jojo's in here. Hmm. Is Westy in here? There he is. What's up, West? Mhm. All right. Now I think I caught up. Possibly. No, not yet. All right. Come on. Is that it? Yeah, I did. All right. Hiawatha, what's up? So everyone's here. All right. So let me tell you what's up tonight. So there's a bunch on the table. So tonight we're going to be talking about the weakness of the confessions. What's up, Pink Quartz? All right. The weakness of the confessions that we know about, and the way we're going to educate ourselves on that is through the Brian Harshman testimony. And we're going to be referencing some other things that are very important in reference to that. And and I got to tell you, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot right now. Like I mean, basically, I feel like I'm about this close to pissing off a whole lot of people who are doing way too much. And I don't know what it is that has these people crazy right now. I assume it's the frantic stress of the approaching impending doom that is the Delphi murders trial against Richard Allen. A case that's built on a paper thin foundation, a house of cards that is about to fall. And I tell you what, this case is so extremely weak. And listening to an attorney, another attorney, a whole lot of community members, a couple people that were in the courtroom. I mean, it's everything we've been saying and worse. And so, anyway, this that you're going to experience tonight is is sure to be infuriating, and I'm already furious with a bunch of individuals. There's been some shenanigans going on, and I think it's because people are desperate right now and having some oh shit moments. And hey, that's fine too. But but we'll give them some more to worry about. And I hope you liked the thumbnail. I hope you guys liked the thumbnail. I was very proud of my thumbnail. um, yeah. So before we get started, though, I wanted to do this because I never do this, and I want to do it. And one of my mods, please take over, or you know what? I don't need you to take over. I'll just do it like this. I'll pin it. Um, there. That's the backup channel. I would love if all of you guys watching um, subscribe to the backup channel for this reason. It's a backup channel, and then I'd love to get you there. And also on the community page, I post different things than I post on this community page here. So, really, if you're interested in the things that I put on the community page, you should be subscribed to both channels so you can check out both channels. So, if you would do me the service of, or the pleasure of going and sub to the backup channel, I'd appreciate it. And here, like I pinned it up here at the top of the chat, I'll leave it pinned there. And I know many of you already got it, but for any of you new folks, please go do that because I'm trying to get over to 1,000 subs on that backup channel just to make sure we're all solid. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to get solid on both channels here. So thank you for that. And yeah, I wanted I wanted to put the thumbnails. I mean, this thumbnail tonight I was proud of. Uh, we got the hypodermic needle, we got the Odin patches, we got the good old boys of Carroll County. Uh, but yeah, I did a pretty damn good job, if I do say so myself. So, with that being said, I am not sure how many of you got to experience any of the reading of this Brian Harshman testimony, but it's very, very, very highly recommended. Um, and I kind of want to thank the people who acquired this because you got to understand like the PR surrounding this case is so absolutely off the charts that you would swear that that this guy is going to burn, okay? Because there are 61 to 65 or 67 uh, very incriminating confessions that are repetitive and just totally incriminating and include details that only the killer would know, and that this guy is absolutely a baby killer, and that you should therefore um, convict him before he even steps foot into trial, because he is absolutely a baby killer, because he's confessed 61 to 67 times, depends on who you ask. And I tell you, um, that's why it's good that you don't listen to them, and it's good that you do your own reading. And so tonight, I'm going to help you do your own reading, and I'm going to supplement it with some contextual uh, supplements that you definitely need to be aware of. So that's what we'll be doing tonight. Is we'll be getting into Harshman's relaying of the nature of these confessions, um, and establishing the context that needs to be established, utilizing a couple other documents that are necessary. So just give me a moment while I pull this up on my iPad and I go cough, and then we'll get the show started here. So thanks everyone for being here. Just please give me a moment, and like I said, if you're in the lurker crew, please join the chat and be nice in that damn chat, please. All right. So, um, in an attempt to not chew anyone's head off, I'm going to just go ahead and deal with this. So let's get into it. And again, this was on July 31st, 2024, motion to suppress. All right. I hope you guys are ready. This is a lot, but we'll get into it. I'm going to jump on down to line number 20 here. Oh, thank you. It's a new day. Thank you very much. $10 super chat. It's a new day. Thank you very much. You've been very kind in these YouTube streets. I see you around here. Thank you so much. All right. What's up? What's up? I have Apophis. What's up, DB? Who else just came in here? All right, guys. Yeah, we're gonna jump on down. And Carla Ann, what's up, Carla Ann? Okay. 20. Southern Regional Fugitive Task Force, which offered me opportunities to pick and choose some of the things I wanted to do. Okay. U.S. Marshals. We hunted or looked for fugitives. During that period of time, I had been talking to Jerry Holman and told him several times, hey, going on quite a while here. I'm sure you guys are burning the candle at both ends. I'm available if you could use any help. And he put me off for a few months. And then I asked him again, sometimes maybe around March 2020, and he agreed, and I kind of stepped in and started helping with the investigation at that point. Okay, immediate red flags, don't you think? Uh, that he's so ambitious to help when he's already employed in other capacities where he could be doing a good job. All right. Now, once Mr. Allen was arrested and charged, did your role change? It did. And what did it change to? Once he was arrested and detained, I began to monitor his communications. Okay, this is where we start to listening. What's up, Swade Smith? Yeah, there's been red flags from all of them from day one. And it's called The Good Old Boys. Okay. What's up, Bobby Smith? Okay. Now, where was I? So once he was arrested and detained, I began to monitor his communications from the facilities where he was housed, sort of inadvertently appointed myself. Again, red flags. As the caretaker of the phone calls and some of the video footage, things that we were receiving from the DOC, when I talked to Holman, it seemed like a smart thing to do to have one person concentrating on that, just due to the volume of work that was involved in keeping up with everything. In your law enforcement experience, is it uncommon or maybe even routine to monitor calls using something like GTL that are being made by an offender while incarcerated? Yes. Used that numerous times during the course of my career. And so you're familiar with that process and with regard to Mr. Allen at DOC, is that correct? Correct. How did you access these calls? Just to inform the court, how do you go about doing that? When Mr. Allen makes a call from the facility, I'm notified via text message that a call's been made, and it basically tells me what time, and it shows me the number that the call was made to. At that point, then I can get on a website through GTL and pull the call. I can pull the call up, and then I can listen to the call, the content of the call. Okay. So you get what's going on. What's up, Phoenix? Um, so basically, you get what's happening, right? That any calls that are made, he can pull up on the computer. When you began this task, did you start at the beginning and have you made it current to date? Where do you stand on that? I'm currently completely up to date on all phone calls that have been made by Richard Allen. All right. So he's keeping a report. I keep notes and then calls that I believe may contain pertinent information. I notify Holman and investigator Mullen, and Mullen will generally send that call to a stenographer or get a transcript written. So you get what's happening, the process here. Not all calls are transcribed, but when a call does raise or pique his interest, he has it transcribed. Okay. And I'll usually put that in the state police case report system. It involves so much time that there's a backlog on those, But I do know that once they're transcribed, that then investigator Mullen has a copy of the actual transcription too. Would you agree that's one of the items ongoing discovery that accumulates because the calls are being monitored, and if there's something significant, there's a record being created, and then you document it? Yes, it never ends. It goes on every day and continues. Right. So you see what's happening, right? You see what's happening. So it's to be expected. There's nothing wrong yet, except that he's inserted himself and is ambitious and possibly compromised. We already know about Holman. Have you also been, you said you were reviewing video that's recorded within the DOC. Can you be specific as to what video? Because we all know that there's an in-cell camera video, and then there's also movement video. The video I've reviewed is the movement video that the DOC utilized when moving Mr. Allen from one place to another. Just recently, I'm not completely finished with all of them, but just recently, I believe I received the bulk of the video provided by DOC reference the medical specific transcripts or transports. And then I do have the in-cell video, access to that too, which I believe I'm current on, but there's just so much of it, I'm not completely positive, but I believe I'm current on it. So you see what's happening is, so now he's addressing that he also gets the video of both the complete in-cell access and the complete transport or movement around the A to B, whatever you want to call it, video. So he's getting a lot of video, which I'm sure has audio attached, and he's getting all of the phone calls. All right. And we're here about a motion to suppress Mr. Allen's statements while made in DOC based on his environment coercing these statements. So you've been notified of that, correct? Correct. And you've been watching those videos and listening to those calls. So you're hearing in his phone calls Mr. Allen's perspective on his circumstances. Are you not? Correct. And then you can also watch the video of how he's being moved around the facility and how he's being treated by staff that appear in the video. Is that right? Correct. Yeah, I wonder how much of that is deleted, though. You know, the ones where they probably beat him and threatened to kill his family. But enough of that for now. All right. So we've been advised that when he's moved, there's at least two people moving him and one person recording. Are there oftentimes other people present that are part of staff? I would say that as far as your statement about a minimum, I don't believe I've ever seen any less than that. There are times I believe when there are more. There have been times when Mr. Allen has been maybe less cooperative than others. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, tasing him, punching him, whatever. Okay. So I think they've had extra people in the area for that, but I'm not positive. When I refer to staff, I mean to include nursing, medical, but let me say Dr. Martin, Miss Walla, and were you able to observe times when he's making incriminating statements in the presence of more than just a medical provider? Yes. Thank you very much for the super chats and the support, you guys. Let me keep reading though. Has your observation of how he's treated by the staff that moves him indicated to you that there has been any sort of change from beginning till now? So I would say in Westville, we're talking about December of 22 to December of 23 when he was in Westville Correctional Facility. Was the staff treating him with respect, and were they patient with him? Now, see, that right there is what we call leading the witness. Okay, leading the witness. Why are you leading the witness? Asking him to say that the staff was treating him with respect and patience at Westville. Immediate red flags. It causes me to believe that that possibly the staff was not treating him with respect and patience, because otherwise, why would you have cause to lead his response to this? The professionalism shown by DOC is almost over the top. Nope. More so than I've ever seen in a custodial facility, frankly. That's not what the locals tell us. I do believe that due to the nature of Mr. Allen, whether people were told, they just assume, think everybody knows that due care and professionalism. Also, these officers are not stupid. They're being videotaped the whole time. They've got camera in their face. So they know he's kind of stumbling there. What's up, woman, doing a shadow band, and anyone else who's coming in. Sounds to me like he's kind of stumbling on this, to be expected, though. Even when he's in a state of being covered in feces and needs a shower, and they're taking care of that in a respectful way to the extent they can under the circumstances. Correct. Okay. So that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is laying the groundwork. I'll say, so you see all the red flags, okay? That's all he's just done is set up why we should be listening to him. Okay, but what we're seeing instead are red flags. I mean, and it only gets worse, because I'm telling you, when I first read through this, I was astonished because of all the rhetoric that had been going around. All right. So there's a period of time where confessions are being made. You've been reviewing some of those, correct? Correct. So if they are a phone call to his wife or his mother, have you reviewed those? Correct. If they are during a movement within the jail while he's being recorded by what they would call a transport staff, have you observed those? Yes. And some of those actually involve movement to a medical visit. Is that correct? Yes. Ma'am. All right. Okay, so is there any other category of observation you've been able to make with regard to confession statements? No. Okay, so this is good. We're limiting. We're limiting now. What's up, Jamie? All right. I believe just the telephone calls, the videos, and the movement videos, and then the movement videos to the medical, which again, I've seen most of, but I still have a few things to go through. And then also noted that during the whole process, I've also been involved in what the suicide companion door sheets, the notes that were written there. So I would get with Investigator Mullen or Lieutenant Holman, and I would notify them, or they would notify me if they saw on the door sheet something that looked pertinent to what was documented by either an inmate. That was documented by either an inmate, suicide companion, or an officer. As a result of those door sheets, I then follow up and conduct numerous interviews with DOC officers, their statements that they recorded on the door sheet. So what he's saying here, he is saying that in addition to all audio of phone calls and video recordings, there are also these door sheet notations, which when something raises his interest, he has those individuals interviewed who were part of that. What's up, Gianna? Welcome in. Okay, so, and you then prepared reports on those door sheets, okay? Correct. They were reports created, and the interviews were also recorded, transcribed, or whatever. So what you're getting here is that everything that raises their suspicions or interest is taken from the initial documented form, say like audio recordings or video recordings or the door sheet notations, and they're taking and making reports with the certain ones that they choose to. Now, this is where we're going to get into. I mean, this is absolutely. You guys are going to be furious. I'm telling you, it's infuriating. When I read through this, I couldn't believe it. I thought certainly there must be more. With the amount of gaslighting and rhetoric and bullshitting that had gone on these YouTube streets regarding these alleged confessions. And when you get through this testimony here, you're going to understand that it's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. There's less to the confessions than there are to the bullet and the I don't know, whatever the hell else they think they got. The him allegedly being there at 1:30 p.m. Okay. So, in reviewing this volume of information from a perspective of phone calls and videos and suicide companion sheets, did you observe any external factors that introduced themselves in April that coincided with Mr. Allen starting to confess? All right. One of the things I was able to note, and you got to keep in mind to date, I'm somewhere between 650 and 670 total phone calls made by Richard Allen while he was being detained. Breaking that down into hours, we're somewhere in the 150 to 170 hours of just phone calls, not including any video or anything else I've watched. Okay, so you guys up on that, we're dealing with at least 650 plus phone calls alone. So the volume of calls is immense. So I feel I've been able to, now this is where the bullshit starts, okay? This is where the fatal error was made on the part of Brian Harshman, and you guys are going to see what I'm talking about. And it's absolutely, I mean, it gets to the point of you got to be effing kidding me, okay? So I feel I've been able to pattern his conversations and what's going on in his world just by the simple fact of the amount of time that I've spent listening to the conversations. Okay, so he suddenly becomes an expert psychologist. And one of those things I noticed was early in March, Mr. Allen began to become involved in reading a Bible. Oh gosh. And as such, he proclaimed numerous times that on March 21st, 2023, he found Jesus Christ and he found God. Oh heavens to Murgatroyd. Some of those, that statement was followed up by some calls where Mr. Allen clearly believes that he's made statements, he may very likely not be with his family again in this lifetime. Yes, because you're threatening to kill him. He was concerned, and what he wanted to make sure of is that when they were in heaven together, that they went to heaven, that he could go to heaven too. And it was interesting because that change of his demeanor really began to coincide with just several days later, the confession starting. And he would defend, and would he himself relate the confessions to his finding God and being concerned about his future beyond this world, heaven and hell? Yes, and he would have those conversations with Mrs. Allen and his mother. They all seem to be very religious people. And, they had conversations, and he had extensive conversations about, if things didn't go his way, then he wants to try and make sure. And oftentimes he says that he's not even sure with what he's done. And the fact that he's found God is going to be enough to get him to heaven. When you say he's not sure what he's done, what do you mean by that? Well, and that's sort of what he alludes to. He doesn't really go any further than that. He just talks about, I think he's mentioned sins, the sins he's committed, but nothing specific as to a particular sin when he was talking about that. Okay, so that means he's a murderer because the word sin means killed Abby and Libby. All right. Does he talk about the crimes he's charged with in this case? Oh, yes. Okay, and does he talk about with them with specificity? Yes. When he has confessed and he has talked about these crimes very specifically. And are we talking about one time or multiple times? I tried to find a way to put it in a numerical sense because there are varying degrees of what I believe is, there's some confessions where it's just, I did this, this, and this. And there were some where you sort of dance around the outside of it. But just direct confessions that I've been able to find, telephone calls, the videos, the door sheets, I'm 60 plus confessions at this point, And that's a conservative number, without a doubt. Is it smelling funny to you yet? Okay. And in the ones that are more specific, does Mr. Allen include details that only a person involved in the crime would potentially know? I believe that's correct. Yes. Okay. Pause. We know for certain that there were communications coming into Westville from the outside to other prisoners, going right to Richard Allen through the door via his suicide companions. This is how he learned details of the crime and the crime scene. Let's continue. Does he ever talk about an obligation as a Christian to be honest and make things right? I don't recall that exact phrasing, so I'd be hesitant to say, I'm not sure. How is his confessions to his family received in these calls? Generally, the first confessions were obviously Mrs. Allen and the mom were extremely upset. Rightfully so. I mean, it's difficult to listen to, his conversations with them about it because, that's their husband, their son. Clearly, it's an extremely difficult time for them. As the confessions went on, Richard's mother would say, they're messing with you. They're messing with your mind. Kathy would kind of reiterate the same thing. Gee, I wonder why. Oftentimes, Kathy would tell him to stop talking. There's at least once, Mr. Allen was talking and she said, stop talking. And something along the lines of, I'm going to call Brad. And then the call ended. So I don't know whether it ended on her end or his or Mr. Allen's end. So initially, disbelief, shock, I would say upset. And then as some of the confessions kind of went on over a period of time, it became sort of a change of subject. Stop talking about it. We're not talking about this, You don't know what you're saying. They're messing with your mind. That was kind of the direction it went after that. Gee, I wonder why. Do some of the statements actually include motivation for the crime? Yes. And do some of his statements relate to why he would have delayed in confessing? Yes. And do some of those relate to how his family might react to the reality of that he committed the crimes? That's correct. Is there a period of time where he does not communicate with his family, either by his choice, their choice, or his, or as a result of him confessing? Yes. There's been some periods of time where, for various reasons, he's gone an extended period, at least by his standards, of not communicating with the family. And I think at one point his tablet broke, or he broke his tablet, so he had to wait to get another one. I think he maybe had lost his communication privileges for a while for some incident that happened at the department. I don't know what that would have been. But other than that, he's pretty consistent in calling. Is it correct that he has a concern over whether his family will still love him if he committed these crimes? Yeah, I would say that's probably his, the biggest common concern that I hear is over and over again, quote, no matter how this ends up, will you still love me? Will you still be there? Extremely concerned about what happens as a result of this trial. Well, no shit he would. No shit he would. I mean, sounds like he's concerned about maintaining his relationships with his mother and his wife and daughter. You recently indicated that you reviewed or found a statement that you thought related to him having a conversation with Kathy about how this is impacting her, and that he would contact the police to make a statement. Can you, share that with the court? All right, now here we go. Let's see. I'm going to look at some chat so we don't railroad through you guys. Kathy standing by him and his mother speaks volume. Yes. Okay. Keep Janice's name out your mouth, sir. Yeah, you disgusting fucking mouse. Holman too. Pigs. There's many supposed sins, including adultery, anger, complaining, denying Christ, divorce, envy, being fearful, being foolish, being a hypocrite. He could have been talking about literally anything. Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure Janice and Kathy found it difficult to listen to, especially if they know his mind's being messed with. Okay, how does he know what only the killer would know? Well, obviously, easy. They told him. As rank as that lank. Sound like he formed a pattern. His description of these confessions is just so too entirely vague to be taken seriously. Oh, just wait, it gets worse. I mean, I can't wait to get to the worst part with you guys. All right. So, kind of sounds like a guy scared for his life and thinking he should be counting his days. Yeah, that too. Well, also keep in mind, he also doesn't know if he's going to be killed or wrongfully convicted, and he's concerned that he may never see his wife and family again. All right, so yeah, look up Haldol and Gitmo. This will show you what happened in Ari's case. None of these so-called confessions should be admissible. Exactly. What's up, Bill? R. Epstein. All right, we found a good place. All right. Oh, is that Texas lady you're talking to? What's up, Texas lady? Welcome to the Prof Chat. I am crying so hard and praying for Alan. What a remarkable faith he's held through all this. All right, let's continue, y'all. In November, I think it might have been the second week of November 2022, and this is early on in his incarceration or his detention. You see that slip up? They're confessing. I mean, they know, man, come on. He was incarcerated. Don't get it twisted. Just weeks into his incarceration, he makes the statement to Kathy that, quote, if this becomes too much for you, just let me know. I'll talk to the detectives and tell them everything they want to know. Case in point, weeks into his incarceration, he tells Kathy, because he loves his wife, if this becomes too much for you, just let me know. I'll talk to the detectives and tell them everything they want to know. Doesn't that sound like he's going to tell them what they want to hear? Like the way that they twist these things, there's no way that means he's going to tell them the truth about what he knows happened, which is the way they're trying to convey it here. You know, it sounds to me like he's saying out of sympathy for his wife and concern for her well being that if it gets too much, he'll just sacrifice himself. All right. Once he experiences his family not wanting to talk to him, is it sometime after that, of not wanting to talk to him after he's confessed, does he then cease or reduce the amount of statements that he's making about confessing to the crime? Yes, I would say probably the bulk of the confession started in April and probably continued on until June. Okay. So let's make some notes here. Uh, let's see. Would someone type that in the chat? April to July. How about that? April to July. And they started to really slow down as far as what I would consider the direct confessions. There would, you know, even still after that, we'd still have the conversations about, quote, will you love me, no matter what happens, no matter. Okay, that doesn't sound like a confession. That sounds like he's saying, will you love me no matter what happens to me? There was a period of time, let's make sure we're still here. Oh, see, I'm glad I checked. Okay. There was a period of time he was extremely concerned about what his family was going to see during trial. He was concerned about that, the things that were going to be said about him. And he was really concerned about the photos they were going to see of what he was accused of. Exactly. So he's concerned about what they're going to say about him, not about what he necessarily did. And he's concerned about them seeing the photos and associating him with those photos. It doesn't mean that he did anything to cause the result that led to those photos. In fact, he indicated that he didn't want them to see what he had done. Is that correct? That's correct. Well, how is that correct? You just made that connection with no evidence to back it up. Where did he indicate that he didn't want them to see what he had done? And then he gets moved to Wabash Valley. And does he make any statements while at Wabash Valley that would be considered confessions? In February this year, he made a statement that was documented by a DOC guard. I don't have the report with me, but it was somewhere along the lines of he was talking to himself and he apologized for maybe killing Abby Williams, I think. To feel comfortable, I would want to review my report and make sure that's correct, but that's the gist of it. Well, that's mighty odd. So let's review that one. A DOC guard who we know is likely Odinist or compromised or just a general scumbag in general. We don't know who this person is or their integrity. Alleges that somewhere along the lines of he was talking to himself and apologized for maybe killing Abby Williams, I think. I mean, that's as ambiguous as it can get. I mean, it's literally laughable. This entire case is literally laughable. They're going to absolutely fall flat on their face and lose it. They're going to be desperate and lose it. And they're going to be in a bind, a horrible bind. Would you recall a statement that he made to his mother in January of this year in a recorded phone call that he wanted to tell the truth and be honest and just didn't want to hurt his family? I have heard those calls. As far as the timeline, if you're telling me January, then I believe you, but I'm not completely sure on the timeline. But yeah, I've heard the calls. Has he said those things in phone calls? Yes. Okay, that's also ambiguous. I don't even feel like commenting on it. In your survey of all this information that you described and in your interviews with officer companions that were logging his activities at Westville, did you ever learn of any information that led you to believe that he was being coerced or induced to make incriminating statements? Now, that's another leading question. That's another leading question. I did not. Well, that's not the way you ask these questions. You should not have led the witness, and you should have allowed him to make that entire statement that you just made instead of an affirmation. So here the statement is made for him that he didn't ever learn of anything that led him to believe there was coercion. Well, we're going to prove to you momentarily that he was coerced, but we'll get to that. One of the things that I really checked on during the interviews was, the behavior between the DOC personnel and Mr. Allen, and then also if the DOC personnel witnessed any other personnel having adverse interactions with Mr. Allen. And by far, the overwhelming consensus between the guards is they felt like he was treated way better than. I'm going to object, says Razi, to speculation about what a bunch of guards are thinking and feeling. I think it's beyond the evidentiary rule, what the evidentiary rules permit, which is something that is indicative of reliable. I don't know, hearsay. He says it's hearsay. And then Miss Diener says, Judge, the officers who are relaying their impressions to this officer while he's interviewing them are giving him statements based on their observations, direct observations. So the cunt overrules it. Pardon me. Bad word. Okay, there's some reference to Mr. Allen feeling tortured. Did we hear that? With regard to the defense's motion and memorandum, has there been a reference to that in the materials you have reviewed? Yes. Mr. Allen does state a lot that he feels like he's being mentally tortured, lines 24 and 25. And has been pressured by family, with statements, are they hurting you? No, sir. The pressuring comes from the other side. The family is expressing love and genuinely asking him these following questions. Are they hurting you? Are they making you? You see how this is all twisted? As far as physical torture, he always says no. He believes that psychological mental torture is what they're doing. And he equates that to functions like it's loud in the prison at night and it keeps him awake. The lights are always on and it bothers him. And he correlates a lot of those activities with being a torture tactic that the DOC is using to mentally and psychologically affect him. Are you guys hearing that statement? Because let me just say this real clear for those idiots way in the back. Because this is one of the first times we've heard anything coming from Rick Allen himself. Because you're about to hear from Robert Baston, you're about to hear from Monica Walla. You've already heard from the attorneys, but listen to Rick Allen himself. He believes that psychological mental torture is what they're doing, and he equates that to functions like it's loud in the prison, it keeps him awake, the lights are always on, it bothers him, and he correlates that a lot of those activities with being torture tactics the DOC is using to mentally and psychologically affect him, and that's coming from his own mouth. Now, is there any ambiguity to how he feels? We know how his family feels. We know what the attorneys feel. And now you know what he feels. Who are you to tell someone about what they feel? This is what he feels. Of course, this makes the attorney very uncomfortable. He immediately changes direction. That was not supposed to come out of Harshman's mouth. But let's get back. And so let's go back to what Mr. Razi had objected to. You were going to share with the court impressions of the guards with regard to Mr. Allen. So instead of getting to Mr. Allen, now we're going to go back to these guards who are threatening and coercing him. He's like, let's make them important. Let's make their thoughts important about the situation. Do you recall your statement you were going to make about what they had relayed to you? I do. Could you please share that? The guard shared with me that they believed that Mr. Allen was receiving treatment that was above and beyond what the normal inmates at the facilities were receiving day in, day out. And, I don't know how to really phrase it other than it's created almost a between the other inmates and Mr. Allen, it creates, I mean, it was noticeable enough that everybody like on the range would know that Mr. Allen was being treated different than the rest of them. Well, no shit, because he's a pretrial detainee who is innocent until proven guilty, and they're convicted felons serving long, hard sentences at Westville. Anyway, sorry. It's a little triggering. Did any of the officers that you interviewed relay their impressions that Mr. Allen was feigning or faking symptoms of psychosis to portray himself as crazy? Yeah, I would ask each and every one what they thought of the antics that Mr. Allen would portray, and without hesitation, what the fuck is that? How do you get to call them antics? That sounds a little biased, does it not? Razi, Judge, I'm going to object. Can I ask a preliminary question? Yes. Are you communicating what some offender told you about their impression about Mr. Allen's psychiatric state? No, I was making a statement on what a DOC officer told me what he believed Mr. Allen was doing. Right, about the way he was acting, whether or not it was a legitimate psychiatric issue or whether he was faking it, right? That's correct. Okay, I object. Again, we're getting a little far afield of the basic hearsay admissibility rules. These people, these guards, have no qualifications to draw conclusions about psychiatric circumstances, in addition to the fact that it's hearsay. So I think that is beyond, I'm objecting for that reason. Judge, I'll rephrase the question, says Ms. Diener, to ask if officers relate to him that they felt he was faking when he was acting out during April and May. I think that in a position of a corrections officer at a DOC facility, they would be in a position to give a layperson's opinion about what they were observing. Well, but not as it relates to psychiatric symptoms. I would sustain the objection to that. I'll rephrase. Detective Harshman, did you ask questions about Mr. Allen's behavior not being consistent during the period of time he was confessing? I did. Did they talk about him engaging in behavior described as bizarre? Mr. Razi, I'm going to object again. I'm not even sure who she's talking about, like who these people are. She's just saying, did they? So there's not really any indication of who. Officer companions, who he's speaking with that's saying these things. Can you narrow it? Yeah. Were there specific instances that you were interviewing a particular officer companion who documented a confession that coincided with behavior that would be considered bizarre? Yes. Okay. And did the officer make any statement to you with regard to having an opinion about whether Mr. Allen was faking? Same objection, overruled. Yes, they believed he was faking. Well, how do they get to judge whether he's having a true psychosis or psychiatric episode or not? As you sit here today, you can't tell me specifically which officers told you that, correct? Because you don't have your notes in front of you, correct? But did more than one officer that was a door companion for Mr. Allen share that observation or opinion? I can tell you that I did check, and I interviewed a total of 10 of those officers. Going back in my reports, I would be surprised if 8 out of 10 didn't have the same feeling about that. In reviewing your documents, the documents you described, the door sheets, the phone calls, the videos of movement, did you ever find evidence that someone was interrogating Mr. Allen? Not once. Well, sounds like a bit of a cluster F, doesn't it? Just a moment. All right, so now we are at the cross-examination. And in this instance, it'll be Mr. Razi. Just as a side note, though, I must say, I heard that Mr. Baldwin did an absolutely incredible job today. Absolutely incredible job today. And you know, it just fits. It fits. And I just want to sit here and sort of congratulate, but not so much congratulate as acknowledge the wonderful job that Mr. Baldwin did today. I think that if you put yourself in the shoes of a everyday person, it's that sort of thing that wins trials. You understand what I'm saying about what I'm getting at here? For Mr. Baldwin to be so personable, so kind and big-hearted, and have the ability and capacity to communicate that to other people around him is a feat. It's a feat in and of itself. And I did hear that that's the impression that was conveyed today as part of his first, I guess, indications of what his performance will be. So another reason to be optimistic that what has been attempted by the state of Indiana with this particular weak case, with a fraudulent PCA filled with errors, omissions, and straight up lies, that's as flimsy as imaginable, is being defended by someone who's performing as excellently as Mr. Baldwin. So there you go. All right. So let's continue. But here's the young Mr. Rossi. Okay. Were you able to watch some of the videos of the inmate companion sitting at his door side? The videos that I had access to did not have any inmate companions in them. They were videos that were used by personnel during movements. Now, if there was a companion caught in the frame when they were moving him, I would see a companion. I did not have like a hallway view. I had a cell view and then those views of movement. Well, wait, didn't he just testify that there was no interrogation of Mr. Allen by the companions? But how does he know that? How does he know? Is he not seeing and hearing what those companions are doing and saying as they whisper or talk through the doors? You have no idea what the conversations were between the inmate companions and Mr. Allen, do you? No, that's correct. So how do you know, Harshman, that he was not interrogated or coerced by any of those inmate companions? Hello, that's your answer right there. Line number 23, volume 1, page 19. Am I the only one? Clearly, I must be the only one. Because he just testified. If we go back, once again, I'm not going to fuck around here. Line number 5. In reviewing the documents you described, the door sheets, the phone calls, the videos of movement, did you ever find evidence that someone was interrogating Mr. Allen? Line number 8, not once. Line number 21. You have no idea what the conversations were between the inmate companions and Mr. Allen, do you? Line number 23. No, that's correct. So from the very beginning, when Mr. Allen was incarcerated, there was a plan in place to monitor his communications at the prison, right? Yeah. And that plan involved getting in touch with GTO and getting access to the phone calls, right? Correct. Making arrangements with the DOC to obtain video, in-cell video, and Mr. Allen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, so you understand what exists. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That was outside of my lane. That wasn't my responsibility, but I did receive those after the fact. Yes. So he gets 650 plus phone calls, every single phone call, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay, we understanding that there's not anything, any moment, any discussion that's not documented and recorded and reviewed. Good. Anyway, I'll skip ahead some. Let's skip ahead some. We don't need to read through all of this. All right, so here, line number 4. What about his digital communications through the tablet, the text messages? Yes, we have access to those also. Okay, so you get it? You get it? They also have every text and everything that tablet ever did, guaranteed. So there's no privacy afforded to him in any respect when he was in that cell in terms of his communications with the outside world, was there? And when he makes the call out, he's notified of that. Everything is monitored and recorded before he makes the call. And even the folks that, like Miss Allen and his mother, are also notified on the recording. You know, hey, you're receiving a call from a correctional facility and it says Ricky, and it says those calls are subject to monitoring and recording, and then the call's connected. Do you agree with me that there's no privacy afforded to him with regard to any of those calls? Because you knew everything he was saying basically the minute he said it, correct? I do not monitor in real time, but it would have been after the call's completed. Okay, then I get notified. But there's no privacy, was there? That's fair. No, it's not fair. It's factual. There's zero privacy. Everything has been documented except for when they want to pull him outside of the camera's view and do whatever they want to do with him. But that's a whole other subject. And in fact, that would be the only way for Rick Allen to talk to his family about the circumstances surrounding his case, wouldn't it? Or through attorneys. Well, but to talk to them directly about his case, he'd have to do it on the phone, right? Yeah, that's correct. The most important thing in his life, right? He's incarcerated facing accusations like these, right? Yeah, he did talk about the case to his family. And he's not even able to do that without police listening to that, is he? No. So there was a pretty involved process to make sure that all this information was funneled to you pretty quickly, wasn't there? I don't think quickly would be a fair statement because nothing seems to funnel to me quickly. But yes, I do receive. Oh, stop nitpicking. That's bullshit, Harshman. You get it. Well, you just said a little while ago you were getting text message notices. Well, yes, I do get that. When he made. Yes, and you also get, as soon as the phone call disconnects, you get a notice that the phone call has been made and you get the recording of it. So let's not gaslight. I'm talking about everything as a whole, videos, etc. So you're talking about the calls. I'm notified of the calls after he's completed a call. You've ever monitored another offender at DOC like this? Yes, I have over the years several. Okay, anybody that's been detained in DOC awaiting trial for something they haven't been convicted of? No. This is the first time you've ever been in a situation where you were surveilling someone in Rick Allen's circumstances. The only difference is because of the DOC. I mean, county jails, yes, I monitor a county jail, somebody who's waiting. All right. And you've never dealt with anybody up at the WCU, have you? Inmate wise? Yeah, in the maximum security unit within Westville. No, not an inmate. No. Correct. I mean, so when you are watching these videos of him in his cell, you're seeing everything he's doing, aren't you? Correct. If he goes to the bathroom, you get to watch, don't you? Not exactly what I want to do all day, but yes, I do see it. I understand that, but that's just the reality of the environment he's living in, right? Yes. The DOC officers, from professionalism standpoint, have been over the top, you said. That's my opinion, yes. Okay, you see the videos of the DOC officers with their Odin patches on their chest. I have not seen any Odin patches on anybody's chest. Did you see the video? Strike that. Are you aware that there were officers up there with patches on their chests that said, I hate people? No, I've not been aware of those patches. No. Are you aware? Did you see the video of him being transported in to get a haircut where the DOC officer realized that he had something on his chest and he ripped it off his chest, a patch? I remember a couple times for a haircut, I believe. I do not remember somebody ripping a patch off. No. Okay, did anybody amongst law enforcement communicate any of that to you? At one point, obviously, there was talk about somebody having patches at some point. Again, outside of my lane, so it wasn't anything I was involved in, so I don't. Well, you interviewed a bunch of guards, right? Yes. And as far as I know, none of them were involved in any of the patches. Did you ask them? Yes. Okay, and so they all denied it, the ones you interviewed. Yes, they denied it. Not one of the guards that you interviewed mentioned that it had anything to do with these patches or Odinism associated with that. Correct, none of them mentioned it. You think there's anything unusual about an inmate that's in confinement turning to God as a way to deal with the circumstances of that confinement? No, I would imagine that the stresses associated with that confinement would lead people probably to try, to find God. Well, one of the only things that Rick had in his cell was a Bible, right? I would say that's fair. I think he's got some magazines and some other stuff, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of stuff in his cell. And then when they put him on close supervision, they even take his blanket from him, don't they? I would say there's a reason for that. Yeah, the answer is yes, right? The answer is yes, they take his blanket. So they strip him down to the bare essentials, right? That's again outside my lane. That's those are decisions that I don't make. But yes, he would have less stuff in his cell, I guess. Yes. Right. Which you would be seeing on the video that there's really nothing in there. No, there's not a lot in there. Yeah, and he also for long periods of time had to wear a kimono, didn't he? They call it a suicide smot, but yes, he did. I did see those. You acknowledge that he has said things to officers and companions about this offense that are inconsistent with what happened at the crime scene. I did not say that I don't believe. Oh, let's back that up. You acknowledge that he has said things to officers and companions about this offense that are inconsistent with what happened at the crime scene. I did not say that I don't believe. Okay. You ever hear him say that he shot two girls? That he shot the two girls? That he shot them? Yeah, in the back. I don't know that I heard him say it. I don't understand what you're No. I understand what you're talking about and I don't know. I think that that's something that I heard him say. I don't think that that's something I heard. I don't know if that came out of an interview from somebody or not. I would have to check. Oh, how convenient. That's very odd. Something as significant as him saying that he shot the two girls in the back. Well, you seem to have the psychic ability to understand like his inner feelings and motivations and all this other shit you gaslit about earlier, that you can tell by his pattern of communication, because all of a sudden you're a psychiatrist or so, like you're such a genius in his psychology, and you know everything he's allegedly said towards his wife, like, are you still going to love me even if I never see you again? You know everything about that. But when it comes to something as significant as him confessing that he shot the two girls in the back, you're stuttering and you don't know shit. And you don't even know that you ever heard it, but maybe you possibly heard that someone else heard it. I would have to check and see. Yeah, of course. Of course you would. I just don't know. That sounds like something you heard during the course of the investigation, right? I've heard that somewhere, but and that he molested them, right? That I don't know. Sorry. What? Oh, so the two biggest things that came out here in the public sphere, that he had confessed that he shot both girls in the back and molested them. You suddenly are playing dumb here. You don't know that that actually happened. Do you agree that a lot of the things he said occurred, almost all of them, within that? I think you said April, or you said maybe into early July. Look, I left it here. Early April to early July. Early April, early July. And the majority of these statements are what I would consider, I'm going to use the phrase generic. Now, this is where it gets badass. So all of you listeners, look, if you're distracted with the chat, look away from the chat for a moment. It gets real badass right here. So the majority of those statements are what I would consider generic, where he's just saying, I killed AW and LG, or I killed those girls, right? I object to the form of the question. It's cross-examination. Overruled. Thank you. Okay. Here we get to it. Yes, there are those statements along with others. Yes. Did you hear him early on in this period of incarceration from December or November of 2022 through March of 23 professing his innocence? Okay. November, December 22 through March 23. In other words, when he first arrives, professing his innocence, yes, he has professed his innocence. And did you hear him do it again in July, August, September, October to the end of his stay? To the end of his stay at Westville? Well, let's just say 5, 6 months that he was there. It would vary. There are times where he professes his innocence, and then he'll follow it up with an around the, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a direct confession, but it'll be, something along the lines of an excuse for why he said what he said. So he will go back to it. But yes, he's confessed his guilt and he's tried to confess his innocence. And what is it accurate to say that one of the contexts in which these confessions came up is him referring back to what he told prison staff in April, May, June? Like, does that come up often? That he talks about, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? Yeah, like he might say, well, they said I confessed. Like he might make a reference like that in a phone call. Is that something you've heard fairly routinely? Yes, but I don't consider that a confession. Right. But he's referencing something. He's referencing these statements that occurred in April, May, and June. Correct? Correct. And that's part of the discussion, even into the more recent past, right? Phone calls? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I got. So he's saying he said those things more recently in phone calls, right? Even since he's been at Wabash Valley. He says that. He goes back and he talks about the time he made those confessions now. Right. And he's making references about the past and using the word confessed or confession, right? Well, he'll say, Well, they say I confessed, If I confessed, then convict me and send me to jail so we can get this over with. He'll attribute things like that. He'll say, if I confessed, then whatever. They say I confessed, whatever. Okay. So that's kind of how he reverts back if he answers your question. Thank you. November of 22, you told Miss Diener that he was suggesting, I think to Kathy, that A, that if they want me to just do an interview with the police, I'll do that. Yeah, he was fine with that, right? Yes, he made the statement, quote, if this gets to be too much, go to the investigators and tell them, I'll talk to them, I'll tell them everything they want to know. Notice the phrasing. Notice that phrasing. Really pay attention to the phrasing. If this gets to be too much, go to the investigators and tell them, I'll talk to them, I'll tell them everything they want to know. Okay, and that was it. Kind of taking a chivalrous approach with his wife. He what? He was taking a chivalrous approach to his wife with the situation, right? I mean, that's a good assumption. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what his motivation was, but yeah, I think that would be chivalrous on his end if that was the purpose, I suppose. And you don't have any training in the field of psychiatry, right? I do not. So you don't have any opinion about the impact of this long term solitary confinement would have on his mental state, do you? Not based on an education or degree. No. Now, see, why does he do that? Why does he do that? Can't he just say no and admit that he doesn't have training in psychiatry and can't have a professional opinion about the impact of long term solitary confinement on his mental state? But he can't just take the no and take the L. He has to say, not based on an education or a degree. Tell you what, she's absolutely mind boggling. All right. So now we're going to, it's going to get worse. I promised you, and I mean it. It always gets worse with these shows. Okay, let's see. Why is my document not loading? Let's see. Mhm. Okay, I'll have to continue to work. Wait, what was it called? Oh, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Let's see. There we go. Um, whoops. Okay, that was July 31st. July 31st. Harshman's motion to suppress testimony. July 31st. Now, we're going to get into some things now. All right, so we're going to just give some We're going to do some really quick review of Monica Walla's statements, keeping in mind that we don't have the detailed transcript. All we have are some bullet points here. But this is a good one. Good one. All right. All right. Now we're going to start with this. Rick was placed on suicide watch. He's allowed out of his cell 1 day a week, she thinks. Rec time, 1 time a week, she thinks. Should have been 1.5 hours, 3 times a week. We've already discussed that he's got nothing in the cell other than a Bible, a couple papers, maybe his tablet, and the suicide smock. No blanket. Lighting on, which is bothering him according to his own words. Noisy, which is bothering him according to his own words. He's harassed by his suicide companions. Okay. Yeah, they all think or they aren't sure. They believe, sort of like the PCA, with all the witnesses who believe they may have seen Abby and Libby on the bridge, but no one witnesses them. No one definitively witnesses them. All right. She's noticing that Rick was pacing a lot. She says he has lights on all the time, but thinks it's a good idea. She observes that he's sleeping and eating on the floor. He's telling her there's a problem with rats. She finds it distressing, but confirms that Rick was in one of the most isolated cells in the facility. Other inmates, okay, are you guys paying attention? Because remember who this is coming from. Dr. Monica Walla, correct? Other inmates would yell things at Rick. Kill yourself. Baby killer. This bothered both Rick and Walla, as did the general noise level. She knows that Rick has a prior cardiac history and history of depression. No formal psychological evaluation was conducted. No formal structured interview. Only about 15, 20 minutes spent in his initial assessment. She knew that he had major depressive disorder, and by his standards, uh, disagrees that it was not a serious condition. So she believes that he has a serious major depressive disorder condition. He had prior hospitalization for depression on psychotropic medication since age 25. Risk of suicidal ideation confirmed. A medical history of general anxiety disorder. History of somewhat of a personality disorder. More severe with anxiety when separated from family. A to E is the scale, which represents symptoms of acuteness, and he was code D. Rick was fragile upon admission. Being thrown in solitary confinement led to a defensive reaction. He became verbally taunting, described as having an eggshell personality. There are no records to indicate that he was suicidal at intake. He was placed on suicide watch due to his risk being high no matter what. The administration was going to keep him in there no matter what, is what she said. He was on restrictions the entire time he was in Westville. She did not order suicide companions for Rick because he was not suicidal. There were problems with Rick's suicide companions from the start because they are inmates initially. They talked to him about his case. Remember, this is coming from Dr. Monica Walla. There were problems because they talked to him about his case and about other inmates. At least one of these inmate companions told their family details about Rick. Rick told Walla he was frustrated with these companions. He believed they were untrustworthy. When Rick told Walla about the companions asking about his case, she didn't do anything about it. She acknowledges this is not ideal, but it is the system. She's what? The status quo. She's good with it. The companions are also paid for their work. It's considered a job in the prison. Oh, I don't have to turn the page. It's a bad habit. Okay. Rick was one of Walla's first pretrial detainees, unmedicated patients. The sessions with Rick varied. Sometimes it was down the hall for more involved sessions, sometimes in a 2 by 3 foot triangular cage made of concrete walls with a gate in front and a see-through grate. Walla gave Rick handouts on depression, on anxiety, on mandalas, on memory, crossword puzzles, and crayons. Her focus with Rick was on basic conversation, managing medication, and general talking about his condition. Here it's going to get rich. Going to get rich here. Walla made daily rounds in which she contacted Rick. Her original notes, all of them, are shredded. All parties agreed that Walla's original notes would have been the best record. Walla says Rick proclaimed his innocence at the very beginning. He was fixated on his wife and believed she was misrepresented. By December, Rick was emphasizing that he was being treated badly, only a month in, ladies and gentlemen. By March of 2023, just about the time he found God, I don't feel right, he's noted as stating. Walla acknowledges his baseline is depression and categorized his condition as poor, critical, and deteriorating. March 2023. By April 1st, 2023, documents suicidal ideation and delusions. Are you seeing a progression here? Are you noticing? Rick makes the statement, death would bring relief. She begins to observe insomnia, poor appetite, hopelessness, low self-esteem, and more. April 2nd of 23 noted Rick was more critical than April 1st of 23, at which time I just stated he was suicidal with delusions. At some point, April 2nd, emergency involuntary medication administered. Reason, he had injured his head and was committing self-harm. I believe he was running headfirst into the walls. April 13th, 2023, she noted a grave disability, observed him consuming feces, considering involuntary medication via injection again. She holds a hearing and schedules involuntary medication. Begins involuntary medicating. On April 21st, she converses with Rick regarding competency to stand trial. She believes he called her and expressed concern about his deteriorating mental state. He knows he's going downward spiral. By May 12th, Rick's disorganized thinking has accelerated. On May 18th, he had a man down incident due to his next scheduled injection. What does that even mean? What is a man down incident? Janice was shown documentation of Rick's vegetative state of depression. Referenced is a publication psychiatric reaction or psychological reactions to stress. May 22nd, 2023, depression at its peak is noted. Physiological symptoms noted included trembling, stuttering, buckling knees, bulging eyes. By July 11th, some signs of improvement are starting to be noted. Now, keep in mind, what was the time frame? What was the time frame we had put up? Let's go back to it. I meant to leave it on the screen, but I sidetracked my own self. Let's put that back on the screen so you can understand the simultaneous nature. I meant to say simultaneity of events here. See, I've already lost it. What wasn't it? Early April to early July. Fuck it. Put it back early April, early July. Well, where does May 22nd fit in that range? Where does May 22nd fit in that range? April, May, June, early July. So in the middle of the confessions, he's at its peak. He's at his peak. May 22nd, depression at peak, trembling, stuttering, buckling knees, bulging eyes. By November, Rick's reporting he's still being haunted and harassed. The harassment occurs even over the phone and spanned a significant time period. She notes that he was undergoing a psychotic process between March and June. When did those confessions occur? April to July. Between March and June, undergoing a psychotic process, diagnosis of psychosis is noted by Walla, including a catatonic state, disorganized speech, considered a serious mental illness by Walla's standards. Oh, I'm still going to turn pages. Okay, apologize. Asked a question by Razi. As a doctor, do you agree that he met criteria for severe mental illness? Answer, no doubt. Serious mental illness patients are typically placed in solitary confinement for 30 days per Indiana DOC codes. Walla acknowledges this policy. She notes the policy exists due to the potential harmful effects on the brain and because it is documented protocol. Exceptions to this 30-day policy are made for individuals deemed an extreme danger to others. Walla asserts that Rick did not fall under this extreme danger exception and confirms that he was in solitary for 12 months. A 10-minute break occurs. Both Janice and Kathy are seen crying. Side discussions about whether Rick was coerced and influenced by this environment. Walla continues at 3:15 p.m. when court resumes. Mr. Allen contends he was treated poorly due to his mental state, disability. And this is not consistent with established guidelines. Diener references the 30-day policy for serious mental illness patients and notes that Rick experienced a brief psychotic disorder. Walla explains the existence of both the PPD, persistent depressive disorder, and SMI, serious mental illness thresholds that influence treatment approaches, including the 30-day policy. She states that this information regarding Rick would be considered new documentation, clarifies she can't comment on whether safekeeping status overruled the 30-day SMI policy during the court hearings. A series of questions were posed to establish Razi's. I'm sorry. None of this is I don't know, it seems like we've switched to something else here. Oh, they go into other items that, see if we're at the end of it. Okay, so that's, oh yeah, here we go. This is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. I thought this was in here. Okay. She's asked, when the guards took over, did they engage Rick like the inmate companions? She nods but says, I can't watch them. Did you see them engage? Not more than normal, bringing food, etc. Did you even witness solicitation of statements? I didn't witness that. Did ISP want to talk to Alan through you? Answer, I think so. I thought it was strange. Walla says she talked to Rick and they decided against it. Confirmation that Rick's baseline is depression and anxiety. Notes presented indicated disagreements about Rick's speech processes. Changes in Rick's presentation were noted, and a visit was deemed potentially bothersome. On May 7th, 24/7 watch was implemented. Reasoning unclear. Question, prior to April 4, did he ever say he found God? She can't remember, but states Rick was not religious at intake. On April 5th, notes or reports a change. She notes most conversations initially were casual, checking in on how Rick was feeling, but not asking direct questions. On the religious change, does he relate his newfound religion to the crime? Initially, Walla responds that she doesn't think so. After reviewing the last line, she changes her answer to yes. Affect all over the place, smiling to crying. Rick offered information without prompting. His reports about his feelings are questionable, aka not genuine. Walla reiterates she presented the injection option to Rick, but it was not in his best interest to make statements given his legal situation, implying his attorney would advise against it. She notes in her notes that it appears he is feigning memory lapses and confusion. April 12, 2023, refuses to leave recreation for an interview. She mentions a video showing Rick being transported to receive injections of Haldol. The medication protocol was injections and oral medication, weekly Haldol, nightly for sleep. Still, many days communication was impossible. Concerns about potential over medication. Observed that he slept a lot following injections. Rick claimed he was just laying there. In addition to Haldol, Rick received Prozac, which he was on before his arrest. Dr. Martin visited once a week and consulted about Rick's treatment. Observation: Rick lost weight, was healthy, then April 23rd tanked, not healthy. April 23rd. When do these confessions start? Remember, I had it up here on the screen. Late April. He tanked, late April. Confessions start, late April. Want to kill family and friends and myself. I don't want to die. I'm too much of a coward. May 3rd, experiences a seizure, cries out for help, and asks to call his wife, Kay. Kay does not answer the phone when Walla calls. Walla finds a cordless phone, locates the number, and assists Rick in dialing. Rick whispers to his attorney, possibly correcting something. Again attempts to call Kay. I want to tell my wife what I've done. I want you to hear it. Did he tell you what wife said? Rozzy says, Wallace, Rick's told Wallace she doesn't believe me. Dr. Diener's observations wants to address stressors, lack of consistent communication with the team. Rick sometimes felt they didn't want to hear from them, especially during the period he wanted to confess to many people. Notes finding God brought Rick comfort. Claims Rick said, I'm going to get right with God. In June, still receiving Haldol shots, running from one side of the cell to the other, shaking head, banging head, running into the walls, head injury, and bruised hands. He lost 40 pounds in 2 months during this period. April 11th. I believe it's April 11th. Let me ensure. It sort of says April 11th. I am an inmate at Westville Correctional Facility in the same unit. Remember, this is right prior to the. Let me pull this down. Consider all that I just read. Now consider that what you're about to hear is just prior to all of this beginning. Okay? Pay attention. I am an inmate at Westville Correctional Facility in the same unit that Richard Allen is being housed in awaiting trial. Richard Allen is being abused and mistreated along with other inmates in Westville Control Unit, restrictive housing. There are corrupt officers and ranking officers calling Richard Allen a kid killer, teasing him that he has a visit from his family. Phone is ringing in his GTL tablet. Inmates in cells A1, 102, Logan Osborne, A2, 207, inmate Riley, inmate cell A2, 204, and A2, 205, threatening to kill Richard Allen and telling him to kill himself. And these inmates have made these comments in front of Warden John Gallipo, ranking officers and officers. Doesn't that align with what we just read from Dr. Monica Walla? I remember those quotations exactly. Kill yourself. We're going to kill you. The staff has recorded on camera these inmates making these threats and suggestions to kill himself and has done nothing to stop it. I have proof and evidence of assaults by ranking officers and inmates, abuse and mistreatment in grievance and the governor's office of Ombudsman Bureau that have been mishandled and covered up, because the Indiana Department of Corrections is allowed to police itself with their Office of Investigation and Intelligence. Okay? So, then, on November 23rd, we get another letter. All right? Let's read the squares and rectangles. I used to be in a cell just above defendant Richard Allen, and as soon as I started voicing my opinion and advocating the abuse, mistreatment, and inhumane conditions of Richard Allen, myself and other inmates back in April 2023, remember the first letter we just read? And recording times and dates of incidents, the corrupt Westville Correctional Facility Warden John Gallipo, Custody Supervisor Chad Corneth, Westville Restrictive Housing Unit Captain Gary Lewis, and Manager Miss Tracy Cornett retaliated on me approximately April 29th, maybe 2023, and had me moved from APOD away from defendant Richard Allen. Then on May 4th, 2023, a corrupt lieutenant, Larry Crittenden, places me on strip cell status and has corrupt Sergeant Robinson, Officer Garu, and Officer Pleasant remove all of my property from my cell so I could not write or record dates and times of incidents, and went through my property to destroy any incriminating dates and times that I had recorded. The next morning, May 5th, 2023, approximately 7 a.m., I was placed in full trip gear restraints with handcuffs, black box belly chain, and leg shackles on security camera, and corrupt Sergeant Brandon Williams and officers removed me from the holding cell to escort me back to my assigned cell in RHB WCU B6202, and Sergeant Brandon Williams orders one of his corrupt officers to run my mattress and bedding through the urine on the floor of the cell since I was left in a cell overnight with no running water or toilet. And then corrupt Sergeant Brandon Williams, note who has a lawsuit on him in the U.S. Northern District of Indiana for assaulting an inmate and denying the inmate medical treatment for his injuries, can be seen on security cameras slamming me to the floor while in full trip gear restraints and violently twisting on my foot and ankle until they break, and then intimidating the nurse not to treat my injuries of a broken foot and an ankle and a stab wound to my elbow the way to the bone that was bleeding badly from an ink pen sticking out of Sergeant Brandon Williams' stab vest. And I was then taken back to my assigned cell B6202. Then at approximately 10:45 a.m., corrupt Sergeant Brandon Williams returns to my cell, and with no verbal command to come to the cell door and no video camera recording, Sergeant Brandon Williams opens the handcuff port door in my cell door and sprays me with OC pepper spray while I was laying in bed suffering from my injuries early that morning. Then, corrupt Sergeant Brandon Williams leaves me in the cell asphyxiating for air for approximately 10 minutes before removing me from the cell. Sergeant Brandon Williams, former officer and now Sergeant Motts, Officer Clemens, and an unknown officer take me out of view of the security cameras in the hallway, and Officer Quentin Davis tells Sergeant Brandon Williams to hold me up while Officer Quentin Davis violently punches me in the ribs and stomach, and breaking my ribs, and former officer, now Sergeant Motts, kneed me in the face while corrupt Westville Correctional Facility Warden John Gallipo, mental health doctor Monica Walla, and Miss Bourne watched the beatdown. Note, Officer Quentin Davis also has a federal lawsuit on him for assaulting an inmate and denying medical treatment for his injuries. In May of 2023, right after the excessive use of force assault with bodily injury, attorney Bradley A. Rozzi, the attorney for Richard Allen, requested an interview with me concerning the poor treatment of Richard Allen and inmates at Westville Restrictive Housing Unit and inhumane and human rights and civil rights violations going on, and someone at either Indiana DOC Central Office or the Westville Correctional Facility Warden John Gallipo denied that interview because they did not want attorney Bradley A. Rozzi to see and record my injuries that they were trying to cover up. I remained in a cell for over a month suffering from my injuries before I received medical treatment after being taken off strip cell and receiving my property back and contacting the state of Indiana Governor's Office of Ombudsman Bureau, who contacted the IDOC Office of Investigations and Intelligence, who then got me medical treatment for only my broken foot and ankle, where x-rays confirmed they were broken. Note, while being interviewed by attorney Bradley A. Rozzi on August 4, 2023, a corrupt Sergeant Dahlia went to my cell B6202 and took all the incriminating dates and times of evidence of incidents that I recorded. There needs be a disbanding of the corrupt IDOC Office of Investigations and Intelligence and state and federal investigations in the corruption going on and in the inhumane conditions, humans and civil rights violations due to the constant staff and officer shortages going on in all IDOC facilities that is creating unsafe and dangerous prison conditions. On November 8, 2023, an inmate at Westville Correctional Facility was murdered. Approximately in June 2023, an inmate died of starvation in Westville Restrictive Housing Unit. Inmates have died of suicide in IDOC facilities due to the corruption. Westville Restrictive Housing Unit custody staff say that they care about inmates' quality of life, but I have not had a shower since October 2nd, 2023. And remember, this is November 23rd. This is November 23rd. October 2nd to November 23rd. How many days is that? And there's other inmates that have not showered longer than that because inmates do not want to shower when officers are leaving inmates locked in a tiny triangle shower for hours with no place to sit down and having to stand because of short-staffed or officers sleeping in the control booths or in one of the offices. The corrupt Westville Correctional Facility Warden John Gallipo does not allow the Christian Amish church group called Christmas Behind Bars to pass out Christmas sacks to inmates because Warden John Gallipo is the leader here of a pagan white nationalist group called Odin. The corrupt staff and officers here at Westville Correctional Facility and at other Indiana DOC correctional facilities wear Odin and Punisher patches on their uniforms and stab vests. The corrupt staff and officers that wear the Punisher patches is a group of good old boys that assault, torture, abuse, and mistreat inmates. I submitted an IDOC grievance to the IDOC Office of Investigations and Intelligence concerning the Odin and Punisher patches, but the grievance never got processed due to corruption. When I was in a cell just above defendant Richard Allen, I witnessed officers taunting him, calling him a baby killer, kid killer, and deliberately slamming the shower door next to Richard Allen's cell to either wake him up or just annoy Richard Allen. I also witnessed other abuse and mistreatment to Richard Allen. There are dozens of lawsuits on the staff and officers at Westville Restrictive Housing Unit in the U.S. Northern District Court of Indiana that clearly show a pattern of assaults, torture, abuse, and mistreatment on inmates by corrupt staff and officers. The Indiana DOC seems to put their corrupt staff and officers in their restrictive housing units that assault, torture, and abuse and mistreat the inmates. Does it still sound like he's full of shit? Don't worry, it gets better. Whoa, what is this? Page 21. Okay. The court will also learn the body of this memorandum, in the body of this memorandum, that Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Robinson were seemingly always by Richard Allen's side during most, if not every, visit. Normally, corrections officers, usually Sergeant Robinson and or Sergeant Jones, were within earshot of every conversation between Richard and his attorneys and between Richard and his wife, close enough that Richard would have to be worried about any conversation with his attorneys and with his wife being overheard by Sergeant Robinson and Sergeant Jones. Those are the Odinist patch wearing officers or other correction officers. Beginning in April or on April 3rd, 2023, and for several visits thereafter, the Westville Corrections officers even videotaped attorney visits between Richard and his defense team. Most of the time, if not every time, it was Sergeant Jones or Sergeant Robinson bringing the handheld camcorder to the visit. Corrections officers even required that Richard Allen be positioned facing the window where the corrections officer was videotaping the attorney visits with the handheld camcorder. This positioning of Richard Allen's body would allow the corrections officers to videotape Richard Allen's mouth as he talked to his attorneys. Richard would therefore not be able to privately discuss anything with his attorneys, such as, quote, the guards telling me that my wife and family will be killed unless I call my wife and tell her that I killed those girls. Instead, a mentally defeated Richard Allen would continually mutter to his defense team at every visit these types of general questions. Is my wife alive? Is my family alive? Is my wife safe? Is my family safe? Is my wife alive? Is my family alive? Is my wife safe? Is my family safe? At one such meeting with his attorneys, Richard Allen mumbled in a somewhat incoherent fashion that Odinites were threatening him. It would be important to know that Richard Allen's defense team had never mentioned the words Odinites or Odinism or informed Richard Allen that evidence suggests that Odinists murdered Abby and Libby until August 25th, 2023, when his defense team, in the presence of his wife, who was visiting with Rick in the prison, first discovered the exculpatory Odin related evidence to Rick. Now we're going to move to page 122. Paragraph 10 of Max Baker's affidavit, Exhibit 115, provides insight into some of what was going on at Westville with Odinist guards Jones and Robinson. During one memorable visit on May 4th, 2023, do you guys remember the dates that we were just referencing? Myself, Attorney Baldwin, and Attorney Rossi met with Richard Allen to discuss matters involving the case. At this time, Richard Allen was in a mental and physical state of deterioration and was nearly non communicative. During the visit, Richard Allen repeatedly asked whether or not his wife was okay and if his family was okay. He claimed on a couple of occasions that quote, they were going to kill him, close quotation. When asked who he was referring to as they, Richard Allen responded by saying, quote, the guys with the Odin patches. Up to this point in the legal process, Richard Allen's defense team had never mentioned Odinites or Odinism to Richard Allen. All right, skipping a few pages. Down at the bottom, additionally, in their combined 50 plus years of practicing criminal defense, attorneys Baldwin and Rossi have never had their purported confidential attorney visits videotaped with a handheld camcorder. Sergeant Jones and Sergeant Robinson, beginning April 3rd, 2023, began videotaping Richard Allen's interactions with his attorneys. Particularly outrageous was the fact that Richard Allen was required to face the camcorder from about 10 feet away through a glass. This means that Richard's mouth was being videotaped. This means that Richard was not able to talk freely to his attorneys and say things like, they are stating that if I don't tell my wife that I am guilty, then they said they're going to harm my wife. If Richard were to say anything like that, it would be on video. Remember, Richard Allen continuously asked the defense team if his wife was okay and if his family was okay. And there are your patches. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is my presentation on the confessions brought to you by the good old boys of Carroll County. Now, do things make a little more sense now? I'm looking for a thing I wanted to. Oh man. Okay. I wanted to get back to this. This is page 9. Maybe I'll put it on the screen for you, but maybe I won't. You don't need to read it. Um, Back to Harshman relaying the ridiculous uh, gaslighting that he tried to relay of alleged confessions. Where he says, I feel I've been able to pattern his conversations and what's going on in his world just by the simple fact of the amount of time I've spent listening to the conversations. And then again, towards the end, where is it? There are times where he professed his innocence and then he'll follow up with, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not a direct confession. It'll be, something along the lines of an excuse for why he said what he said. So he will go back to it. But yes, I mean, he's confessed his guilt and he's tried to confess his innocence. Yeah, like he might say, well, they say I confessed. And then there's what's the other one where he says, this one is a kicker here. A kicker. Where is it? It was somewhere along the lines of when he was talking to himself and he apologized for maybe killing Abby Williams, I think. But I would want to review that report. So I guess that does it for me wanting to cover that. I feel very good in what I did. I think it's thoroughly covered. I think anyone wanting to reference that can always come back and listen. So now let me see what you guys got to say before we get out of here early tonight. All right, so let's see. See who's come in here. Yeah, what a stretch. Confessions. I don't know. And remember, when I was reading the Monica Walla, this entire time period, coincident with the confessions, are this state of psychosis he had been undergoing. Force medicated or involuntary medicated, say it the nice way. Involuntary, involuntary medicated during a period of time where he's undergoing a state of psychosis. Um, the exact same time period, he's being threatened, as attested to by Robert Baston and the attorneys and his own words. Okay, let's see what we're going for here. We got Gianna. Hey, Gianna. Hey, Lisa. Sunflower Soul. We got Kat. Right. Instead of a 30-day, remember, she references the 30-day norm for those undergoing mental illness. But no, 12 months for him. Well done. Thank you for this share tonight. This is the crux of his treatment and their efforts to break him. Exactly. Exactly. What else we got here? We got Truth Seeker. Monday. Yeah, no shower for that guy for like what is a month and a half or maybe almost 2 months. The jailhouse confessions or McClellan's smoking gun. Hey, thank you, Adrian. All right. Ben Pat, what's up, Ben Pat? Let me put you on the screen. I didn't see you come in, but hello to you. What's up, Augie? I see you there, Augie. Hello, Augie. I didn't see you come in either. What's up, commentator Root? Let me put you up on the screen. You're there. What's up? Unfucking real, isn't it? The entire. I mean, can you believe that took 2.5 hours? I think we got a shit show on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Um, oh my god, an itchy nose. Thank you, Truth Seeker. Got a piece of lint in my nose or nose hair. Okay, exactly, West. Let me pull you out there and let's see if I can see that. I mean, you have to have a connection, a hold on, strong hold on to God to be able to make it through anything like this. I mean, that's the only thing that's going to carry you through. Gina Bodette. Wait, let me put you on the screen, Gina. What's up, Gina? All right. Digital says Westville Supermax is for the worst of the worst. Inmates accused of assaulting, killing other inmates, guards, smuggling in contraband, being gang leaders, rioting, etc. are all transferred to Westville. So that's where they put Richard Allen because their intention was to break him. Force a plea deal or confessions. Is it making sense? Is it making sense? What's up, Gianna? Okay. Well, that's my speculation is that he was asking exactly that because they had threatened to kill his wife and his family. And remember, who did he say was going to kill his family? The guards with the Odin patches. What's up, Kevin? Kevin Rabowski. Nick, no matching DNA, no blood, no fingerprints, no positive ID from witnesses, no motive, no crime history, no time of death, no online history, no connection to the girls, no murder weapon, no family cell phones, no digital forensics, no geofencing. What else we got? No timeline, no proof of life on the 13th. I mean, and the list goes on. The list goes on. It's Delphi after all. Thank you so much, Truth Seeker. Truth Seeker, thank you. All right. Sounds like a Russian prison, doesn't it? Or even worse. Even worse. Have you ever heard how bad the Filipino prisons are? You still believe this guy over anything, Home and others? Well, me too. Holman's like the Holman's like the mop. Holman's like the bristles of the mop or whatever you want to call it. He's the thing you want to wipe the floor with. It's Holman. You want to wipe the dirty floor with him. All right, Nancy Drew, what up, sweetie? Starved to death, isn't that sick? Yeah, I mean, dude, are we seeing here? Are we seeing a little insight into these confessions? Yeah, it's unacceptable. This is why I spent the time tonight to go through it all with you guys, because it's important for us to use our voices to say it, because it's unacceptable. Let me ask you this rhetorical question. Even if he did have something to do with the incident that led to the murders of Abby and Libby, is it still unacceptable? My answer is yes, because this is not the way it's supposed to work. You don't waterboard to get the answers you want out of them. You use investigative strategies, forensics, good old fashioned police work, and you build the case and you get the bad guy. This is not Afghanistan. We don't torture our suspects. Interesting that they hired inmates to conduct surveillance on Richard Allen, and they could be trusted, yet Gull did not allow this note to be seen when she refused to transfer RA. I mean, guys, honestly, it took all I had to come on and do a show tonight. And the only way I could force myself to do one is covering this exact thing, because this was worth talking about. Kayla says just sickening. Yeah, that's what I mean. Even if he is involved, it's not the right way. Sandy's bringing the moon facts. Yeah, well, look, I've gone back quite a while in chat. It's so good to see everyone back here. You guys were talking your butts off when I was reading. I didn't see any of this. Thanks a lot for it. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's brought there for safekeeping so they could waterboard him, get the answers they wanted, and force a plea deal out of him. Oh, really? That photo I put on the thumbnail tonight? Yeah, that was a pretty horrible photo for me, at least. That was when I saw that, I was in disbelief. All right. What's up, Heather Brown? Thank you for the super chat. So, yeah, you guys were doing good in the chat. There's a lot of chat. What's up, Ashley Nudo? Ashley, thanks for being here. But I mean, how are they going to convince a jury that any of this was not over the line? I mean, you look at how little evidence exists. You look at all of the missing investigative strategy, all of the, I mean, product, all of the days, all of those days. I think Doug Carter just Doug Carter just possessed me and used the word investigative strategy. I'm thinking of the 2019 press conference. Doug Carter just possessed me. Get him the fuck out of here. Um, but you think of 70 days, including the very crucial first 6 days. You think of the marathon footage. Think of whatever physical evidence is missing, like has been alleged over the years in terms of maybe some sort of fingerprints and stuff like that that flew off the top of a car leaving the crime scene. You think that they didn't extract any of the family's phones? Where are all the interviews of the family members? Where are the 7 interviews or whatever the FBI did with Kelsey? Where's the forensics that prove that Kelsey was where they said she was when she said she was? Where's the forensics that prove that Derek was where he said he was and that all the other family members, Cody? Where's the entire family members' movements for the day to set in stone what actually transpired? How are they going to convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt with so much lacking? I don't know. I don't see it. I think it's given by the things that were that transpired today, what we can gauge. It looks like it's as weak of a case on the side of the prosecution that we've been assuming. As weak, you know, what do you got? A bullet with some you what you're calling extraction marks that are identifiable and definitive. That's all you got. And these confessions that we just plowed through. I mean, the bullet that is not. That's a nothing burger. That ain't gonna cut it. These confessions, it ain't gonna cut it. I mean, you don't understand how this defense is going to counter it. Here's what you got: 2 dead girls. You got 2 dead girls in a community that's holding the answers to what exactly happened out there that led to them being left where they were left, the way they were left. Community wants to know. I don't think they're going to buy it. And you have to just face reality that this case is entirely too weak and the defense has way too much in its corner. Way too much. I think we saw indications of that today. So, what's up, Mar R? Yeah, DC's the phrases. And hey, let's just bring him up for a minute because it kills me. It kills me. Kills me with DC. First of all, why is the family not cleared? Why is the entire family not completely cleared for 7 years now? No riddles, no rhymes, no rhymes, okay? No, a vast majority. No rhymes, Doug. Here's what I know you said after the arrest of Richard Allen. You said a few things. When Julie Melvin asked you, hey, you caught Bridge Guy. Isn't that great? What we've been waiting for all this time. Well, it's a step in the right direction. Hmm. Here's what else you said. You said, we haven't cleared anybody. Here's what else you said. Oh, you caught Richard Allen. Is he the killer of Abby and Libby? A judge signed the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Richard Allen. Hmm. Very interesting, Doug. This is all very interesting. All very interesting to happen immediately after the arrest of Richard Allen. When you think you would be at your emotional high, isn't that the way things work? You're at the emotional peak in the immediate aftermath of an incident like the arrest of Bridge Guy. Who among you were considered POIs? Hmm, I wonder. Thought Carter would say, today is the day. Today is not the day. And I have another question for the family. Why did you look the way that you looked after that press conference? I'm not going to apologize for the way that you looked because it wasn't me that looked that way. It's only me noticing it. Why did you look afraid, defensive, upset? You look shook, kind of odd. I actually own a video of it. You know why? My best friend, Noe Amos, was there that day. He filmed it all. He gifted me the film. So now I own footage of that very moment. It's also odd. But this is the house of mirrors that we find ourselves in. The Delphi murders, fictional narrative scenario, a house of cards, a lie since before day one. Well, It's been a good show here. I'm glad I came on. I want to show Christine. Thank you, Christine. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to justice in this case. Thank you. It's only truth. It's only truth. That's all we want. Thank you, Heather. I mean, how long has this community lived a lie? Really? How long? Because the jig is up and everyone knows it, and everyone can see for themselves what really is. Pardon me. Everyone could see this. I mean, you want to gaslight the entire community as if it's the minority who can see what is. But I'm sorry to say, most people are good people. Most adults are cognizant of what's really going on around them. And what's the phrase? You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. And the little charade, it's coming to an end. It's been too long, and you made one fatal error. I've said it so many times. You made the bridge guy video too intriguing. You drew the attention of the world onto this case, and that's your downfall. People have focused on this, and there's no way, there's no way that reality can be changed. Anyhow, God bless you all here in the chat. You are all amazing. I mean, this community right here is ace. You know, the people here, you guys are so smart, compassionate. You know how to communicate with each other. Uh, it's beautiful. You know, I love my chat. Really, I wish I was here more with you and not reading documents, but just discussing because I love my chat. Um, Adrian says, I love you all. We love you. Monday says, thank you, Prof. Yeah. Their own hubris was their downfall, says Sunflower Soul. Exactly. 100 Prof. Fool me once, but never again. Yeah, it makes me want to quote the old W. Fool me once, you fool me, you fool me once, you fool me again. What get it right, George. They almost got away with this if it wasn't for the 136-page memo. Yeah. Yeah, guys. So God bless. God bless. Please, I mentioned this earlier. I don't know how many of you were not here, but pinned at the top of the chat here, I have the backup channel, the Prof True Crime. It's my little black backup channel. Please, if you would, go subscribe to that because I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs to reach that milestone. So so I can establish really solid over there on that backup channel. So if you would, please just go subscribe to that backup channel. I might be able to jump 100 subs tonight over there, get to 900 or something. And trying to build that channel up. I do post entirely different things on the community page there. So if you like my community page postings, uh, you know, go subscribe over there just to get those, and you'll have everything I post. So anyway, so let's do the commercial and everything. So for those on the replay, please leave a comment down below, because you unfortunately weren't able to join our wonderful live stream chat. But if you're on the replay, you can easily join the comment sections, and I do promise that we communicate there. I go and I read every comment. I put a little heart on it, and we discuss there. And it's invaluable too for those who are coming into the channel and watching videos after they're already there. They get to watch the comments and the chat. It's awesome. And if you're watching, whether now or on the replay, please hit some of the donation pathways to support the channel. They're all here. The About Me or the channel description. I got the Cash App and the Buy Me Coffee and different stuff. So there's ways to send donations or super thanks or anything like that. So support the channel. I need all the support I can get, because it keeps me focused on this and not having to go hustle out in the workday too much. So the more I can focus on this, the better for, I hope, for the channel and for all of us here in the chat. So anyway, we love you guys, and I know that you love each other. So thank you so much for this. And wow, today was the first day of jury selection in this process, and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, every day is so unexpected and so exciting. So we don't know what tomorrow will bring, but definitely it's going to bring a lot of truth. Like, no matter what happens during the course of this trial, the positive right now is that this scenario, which we call the trial of the state of Indiana versus Richard Allen, it's going to bring more facts to the surface, more details. It's going to bring more truth. Okay, so whatever is transpiring with Richard Allen, the real justice here is that the truth about Delphi murders, or the murders of Libby and Abby, will be rising to the surface. And this is pushing that. So that's what we want. And anyway, I have some shows planned for you, very awesome shows, but they're taking a lot of work to put together. I worked all day yesterday on it, all day earlier today. And who knows, I may be able to do it tomorrow. I may have to work more tomorrow and do it the next day. But pretty soon I'll do my next big show addressing the very first thing I want to address during this trial process. So look out for that. And anyway, love you guys. Have a blessed, beautiful night. And see you next time. And I'll join you in the chat. I'll leave it open for 5 minutes like I always do. So I can see you guys on out respectfully. And that's what it is. So thanks very much. Love you, and see you on the next one. All right.